Sign up to get our afternoon video email. The video focuses on a new topic in the news each day. The Secret Service on March 21st posted a photo from the visit that included a Cadillac Escalade SUV outfitted with the presidential flag next to a large picture of the presidential seal. The president often travels in an armored Chevrolet Suburban. In this episode of the Ally All Ears podcast, Aaron Lee, Senior Director at Ally Dealership Insurance, discusses the growing threat of cyber attacks on dealerships and the importance of staying vigilant. He shares essential tips for safeguarding against these risks and highlights the need for specialized cyber insurance coverage to protect your business. The Secret Service said earlier this week it is not clear when the next presidential limousine will join the fleet. We are too far out to speak to any specific costs or dates, a Secret Service spokesperson said. Our engineering, protective operations, and technical security teams work for years to develop the state-of-the-art framework that is used to produce these highly advanced vehicles. GM CEO Mary Barra met with President Donald Trump last week and discussed armored SUVs, a person briefed on the meeting said. The White House did not immediately comment. In 2018, the Secret Service began using the latest version of the custom-built Cadillac presidential limousine after the prior version was introduced in 2009 just before Barack Obama took office. Obama said in 2015 that the limo is a caddy basically on a tank frame, and added he could call a nuclear submarine right here from a phone in the car. Title: A Ford China partner Changan to start EV sales in Europe. Content: China's Changan automobile plans to enter 10 markets in Europe this year. The automaker showcased its Diepel S07 full-electric SUV, its first model for Europe, at an event in Mainz, Germany, on March 21st. The EV starts at €45,000, $48,775, Changan said it will launch the S07 in Germany, Norway, Denmark, and the Netherlands starting in April, and then in Britain in June and in other markets later in the year. The Diepel S05 will launch later this year, followed by the Changan E07 by early 2026, the automaker said, adding that it also plans to sell hybrid cars in Europe from 2026. Changan plans to build a sales and services network across Europe, with more than 1,000 dealerships, but did not give a time frame. The company has production plants in China and Thailand, and cars sold in Europe will be imported from there. In this episode of the Ally All Ears podcast, host Emma Hancock interviews Kelly Olson, Senior Director of Operations for Smart Auction at Ally Financial, about the importance of quality control in online wholesale auctions. Olson discusses advancements in online auction platforms, highlighting the importance of detailed condition reports, AI technology for damage detection, and the evolving incorporation of electric vehicle information. All aimed at building trust and reliability for dealers purchasing pre-owned inventory. In 2024, Changan was the world's No. 16 automaker with sales of just over 2.2 million vehicles, according to car industry analyst Felipe Munoz. Apart from its own brands, Changan also has joint ventures in China with companies including Ford and Mazda. Changan exports to over 60 countries and regions, it said. Title: Ineos has contingency plans ready if Europe-US tariffs rise. Content: Hamburg, France. Ineos Automotive is bracing for a tariff increase on the models it builds in its French factory and ships to the US, which is the company's biggest market. We probably have about 8 contingency plans, as CEO Lynn Calder said. She expects there's trade inequity between the two sides. Cars shipped from Europe to the US face a 2.5% tariff, while US auto exports to the European Union are hit with a 10% tariff, to be corrected. Calder foresees being able to cope with a potential tariff of 10% by having Ineos, its retailers, and customers each absorb part of the added cost. However, she said there is no way Ineos could offset a tariff matching the 25% the Trump administration has said it will impose on imports from Canada and Mexico starting April 2nd. It becomes really threatening for us, Calder said, adding that the US is by far Ineos' largest market, accounting for more than 60% of its global sales. She added that the company aims to more than double its number of sales points in the US this year. Ineos has launched in more than 50 markets over the last 2 years. When asked whether the contingency plans include slashing marketing and other budgets to cope with tariffs, Calder declined to give specifics but agreed that other parts of the business would suffer. There is no doubt at that point there is a lot of money going to the US taxman that could be spent building new powertrains or marketing our business, as she said. Calder made her comments during a media roundtable on March 20th at the automaker's factory here in Hamburg, eastern France, which until last April also made the 4.2 minicar for Mercedes-Benz subsidiary Smart. Between 1998 and 2024, 2.5 million Smart models were built at the factory, which Mercedes sold to Ineos Automotive's parent, Ineos Group, in 2020. Since 2022, Ineos has been making the Grenadier SUV at the factory. It added production of the Quartermaster pickup in 2023. Ineos was forced to stop all production last September after its seat supplier, Recaro Automotive, filed for insolvency in Germany, the equivalent of US Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. An Italian supplier, Proma Group, took over Recaro Automotive on December 4 and transferred seat production from Germany to its factory in Castellet, near Turin, an 8-hour drive from Inero's factory. The supplier, now called Recaro Automotive Italy, says Inero's is its largest customer as it plans to supply the SUV maker with 15,000 to 20,000 seat sets this year. That is still below the plant's annual capacity of 50,000 on 3 shifts including Saturdays, Inero's automotive president Philippe Steyer said during the round table. There is definitely additional potential here if we need it, Steyer added. Calder said Inero's will not look for additional production sites until Hamburg is at capacity. In my world you go by a really simple rule when it comes to production facilities. You fill one plant before you think about another, Calder said. Inero's has just completed work on a €15 million, 2,500 square meter biomass heat plant at Hamburg. It will produce 9.2 megawatts of heat by burning 14,000 metric tons of locally and sustainably sourced wood chips a year, covering 78% of the factory's heating requirements. The heat plant took nearly 2 years to build and is expected to reduce overall energy costs at the factory by 20%. Title: A top 5 stories of the week. Foxconn nears EV deal. Canadians could flood used car market. Content: Taiwan's Foxconn is moving closer to an EV manufacturing deal with 2 Japanese companies, reports say. Meanwhile, Canadian car buyers may head en masse to the used vehicle market if tariffs push up the prices of new car prices. Here's the rundown. The manufacturer of iPhones, better known as Foxconn, is reportedly close to making an electric vehicle deal with 2 Japanese companies, amid swirling speculation about a possible tie-up with Nissan Motor Company or Honda Motor Company, following their failed merger talks. Read the full story. In this episode of the Ally All Ears podcast, Aaron Lee, Senior Director at Ally Dealership Insurance, discusses the growing threat of cyber attacks on dealerships and the importance of staying vigilant. He shares essential tips for safeguarding against these risks and highlights the need for specialized cyber insurance coverage to protect your business. 3 years after setting a Detroit home sales price record, former auto executive Mark Stewart is ready to part ways with his Palmer Woods mansion and possibly set another record. Stewart in 2024 left Stellantis to become CEO of Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company in Ohio. Read the full story. The trade war ignited by President Donald Trump is poised to hike assembly costs for automakers in North America, raising prices for new vehicles in Canada and sending buyers flocking to the relative safety of the used car market. Read the full story. American Honda will procure batteries for its hybrid vehicles from Toyota Motor North America's $13.9 billion battery complex coming online in Liberty, North Carolina, Japan's Nikkei News Service reported March 17. Read the full story. Japan's auto industry is bracing for potentially a significant production cutbacks at home if US tariffs on auto shipments go ahead in 2 weeks, as automakers including Toyota, Honda, and Nissan scramble to limit damage to the domestic export engine and supply chain. Read the full story. Title: How tariffs could impact a small volume brand like Karma Automotive. Content: Irvine, California. When Karma Automotive President Marques McCammon hatched a new strategic direction for the Southern California brand in 2023, moving upmarket to ultra-luxury, the veteran auto industry executive also aimed to reduce the company's reliance on parts sourced from China. McCammon said he and his team believed that regardless of who won the 2024 US presidential election, there was going to be geopolitical pressure to shift from Chinese parts suppliers. What Karma did not anticipate was possible changes to the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, a trade pact negotiated during President Donald Trump's first term and designed to provide the seamless movement of parts and vehicles across the 3 countries as long as local content requirements are met. Read more. Live updates on tariff news and impacts. Interactive map. Auto manufacturing sites in Canada, the US, and Mexico. The Trump administration, aiming to reindustrialize pockets of America and raise revenue, imposed 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico as of March 4th, but gave the auto industry a 1-month exemption until April 2nd. In this episode of the Ally All Ears podcast, Aaron Lee, Senior Director at Ally Dealership Insurance, discusses the growing threat of cyber attacks on dealerships and the importance of staying vigilant. He shares essential tips for safeguarding against these risks and highlights the need for specialized cyber insurance coverage to protect your business. Tariffs on imports from China are now at 20% after the administration imposed a 10% duty on goods from the country on top of the 10% import tax it implemented in February. Karma assembles vehicles in Moreno Valley, California, east of Los Angeles. China's Wanxiang Group is Karma's sole shareholder. McCammon said China parts account for 37% of the content on Karma vehicles today, with components sourced from the US representing 26%. Europe or South Asia represent the remaining source of parts. China-sourced parts will represent 10% or less of the content on a Karma model by the end of 2025, he said. The brand sources some mechanical parts from Europe. Some composites and body panels are also imported from Mexico and Canada, McCammon said. Karma's anticipated sales volume for 2025 is modest at around 250 vehicles, and the brand continues to search for domestic parts where it can. But a time and economics EIE costs make sourcing parts in the US an ongoing challenge, McCammon said. Pricing for the Revero sedan starts at $125,600 including shipping. McCammon said if Karma were to raise prices to mitigate the impact of any tariffs, its customers would generally be less sensitive to such changes. But the flip side is, I'm a new company in that space, McCammon said. I don't have 75 years of legacy history. My cars have to be a relative value proposition versus, pick a British vehicle manufacturer. Preserving Karma's costs, pricing, content, features and market position in the current environment is a balancing act, he added. Yes, I'm more resilient, McCammon said. That's the design of our business model. But I only have but so far before it starts to hurt. Title, Air of 4 Cool Things About Ram's Heavy-Duty Pickups. Content. Laughlin, Nevada. The interior comfort seen in the upper trim levels of the refreshed 2025 Ram 2500 and 3500 heavy-duty pickups mirror those of their light-duty counterparts. This wasn't always the case. While capability to handle tough jobs is still the calling card of the hauling class, customers have come to expect more refinement, said Matt Huber, Senior Vice President of Ram Brand Product, at a March media drive of the heavy-duty lineup. Related article, Ram sees growth opportunities for freshened heavy-duty trucks. There was a time, Huber said, when you could get away with, I don't want to call it cutting corners, not as many amenities on the heavy-duty as you did in the light-duty just as long as you're delivering the capability. But that has changed. It has become blurred of what is being offered, and the same is being offered in light and heavy. You go to the top end of the heavy-duty lineups now and there's nothing missing. Sign up to get our monthly Done Deals newsletter focused on the latest dealership transactions and insights into the buy-sell market. In this episode of the Ally All Ears podcast, Aaron Lee, Senior Director at Ally Dealership Insurance, discusses the growing threat of cyber attacks on dealerships and the importance of staying vigilant. He shares essential tips for safeguarding against these risks and highlights the need for specialized cyber insurance coverage to protect your business. The 2025 Ram heavy-duty lineup has been bolstered with interior amenities taken from the brand's 1500 pickup. At the same time, Huber said, Ram is ensuring that it's introducing technology in the right way and not just doing so because it can. You need to really balance what technology you're putting in the vehicle, but not doing too much, not doing tech for tech, he said. How do you put tech in to make the truck better? More cameras, right? More cameras are always better to make it easier for them to do that heavy hauling. When you're coming over a hill, the forward-facing camera sure is nice. And then cameras around all of the trailers that you can easily back up. Related article, Ram delivers comfort inside heavy-duty trucks. Other useful technologies such as adaptive cruise control and forward collision mitigation with pedestrian detection were made standard on 2025 models, Huber said. Here are 4 cool things about Ram's 2025 heavy-duty pickups. Front row passengers can now charge 2 phones at the same time with a new dual wireless charging pad. The feature was introduced in the freshened 2025 Ram 1500 last year and has made its way to several heavy-duty trim levels. The charging pad holds the phones firmly in place and is ventilated to keep devices from overheating. The charging pad was added to the chassis cab model as well. Front passengers now have an infotainment screen of their own. The available 10.25-inch touchscreen has numerous uses, including serving as an entertainment hub. The screen has an HDMI plug that lets users connect a phone or tablet, turning the touchscreen into a mirrored extension of their device that allows internet searches, music and app use to project through the Uconnect 5 system, the automaker says. The front passenger also can access the navigation system and send directions to the center screen. The screen offers the ability to view the exterior vehicle cameras as well. Ram says its heavy-duty pickup is the only vehicle in its segment to offer a passenger display. Ram's updated heavy-duty pickups offer a bigger 14.5-inch touchscreen to command the infotainment system. The 12-inch screen is still available and has been improved with higher resolution. A best-in-class 2.4 kilowatt power inverter that can support tools is now optional for the pickup bed. The automaker says with the engine running and the vehicle parked, customers can turn the inverter on via the touchscreen and with a switch located to the left of the outlets. The engine, according to Ram, will then ramp up revolutions per minute to support the onboard power inverter. We spec that out with worksite needs in mind, and so that will be a big game changer for people as well, a Huber said. It's best in class amongst heavy-duty trucks. They can take this and go tailgate, camp, or take them to worksites. Title, Air Stellantis, Leapmotor said to favor Spain for B10 electric SUV production. Content. Shanghai, Stellantis and its Chinese partner Leapmotor consider Spain the top candidate to produce the B10 electric SUV for the European market, a person with direct knowledge of the matter said. The two companies have been looking for a site in Europe to build the model, which made its European debut in September. Stellantis factories in Germany and Slovakia have also been under consideration, Reuters previously reported. Both companies are now ramping up efforts to increase component procurement from suppliers in Spain in order to qualify for the highest level of subsidies from the government, said person, who declined to be named as the matter is not public. Leapmotor and Stellantis, which are yet to make a final decision, plan to start mass production of the vehicle in the first quarter of 2026, the person added. Stellantis declined to comment. Leapmotor did not immediately reply to a request for comment. In this episode of the Ally All Ears podcast, host Emma Hancock interviews Kelly Olsen, Senior Director of Operations for Smart Auction at Ally Financial, about the